If we haven't met yet, my name is Alisha Mawji, and I'm the Community and Operations Coordinator here at Embodied Astrology. And this June, as Jupiter moves into Cancer, I'm thrilled to be co-facilitating a space alongside my peer, Amy Ashton. We're calling it At the Heart of Conflict. The word conflict is everywhere right now, being used to describe situations that at the heart of them are really about relating. Navigating across our difference, disconnection, and dysregulation in the spaces where we seek understanding, connection, and love. While there exist many spaces to learn conceptually what conflict transformation requires, there exist very few where we can actually be in the mess together, practicing what conflict transformation entails beyond the theoretical talk and ideals. This series, taking place during Jupiter's stay in Cancer, aims to serve as an active workshopping space where we can better understand ourselves and our others through astrology, practice taking different shapes in conflict, and explore cognitive and somatic frameworks for increasing our capacity in moments of rupture, so that we can actually show up in the ways that we long for. This cohort will meet weekly for 12 weeks, beginning in June, but space is limited. We're capping the cohort at just 10 people to better facilitate connection and allow everyone space to share. More information and the form to apply can be found on our website and in the podcast show notes, and I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Hello, Cancer. Welcome to Gemini season. This is your Gemini season reading, May 20th through June 20th, 2025. This is a general reading for all Cancer identified people. That includes Sun, Moon, Rising in Cancer. Everybody has all 12 signs in their chart, so make sure that you listen for what is meaningful for you. Make the meaning that's meaningful for you. Remember that not everything is for everyone. Take what works and leave the rest. My name is Renee, and this is Embodied Astrology. I'm so happy to be here with you, Cancer. I feel excited tuning in with your chart. Gemini season is, wow, it feels like there is a lot coming in this season for everybody. And for the Cancer charts, this is definitely a moment of significant energy shifting. So where should we begin? I'm going to start off talking about Jupiter. Jupiter has been in Gemini since May of 2024. And in Gemini season this year, on June 9th, Jupiter leaves Gemini and moves into Cancer. And it will be in your sign for the next year until June of 2026. I'm going to say more about Jupiter and Cancer in a little bit, but let's start off with this premise. So this is a really big shift. Jupiter takes 12 years to orbit the sun. It spends about a year in every single sign. And it has been 12 years since it was last in your sign. So if you think back to, was it 2013? Hold on. Let me just check real quick. I should have looked at this before I started, but I didn't. So the last time Jupiter came into your sign was in 2013, also in June, and it would have been there for a year until June of 2014. So you might think back to that period of time and what has transpired since then in terms of your own learning, your personal growth, etc. Jupiter is considered to be exalted when it is in Cancer. That means that it's in its favorite place to be. Exaltation of planetary energy is when that planet gets to express itself in its best ways, when it has the resources that it needs to do the thing that it is best at doing. Jupiter as a symbol is a symbol of expansion, generosity, benefic energy, and gift giving, and learning. The adventures of learning. And oftentimes we learn by coming into contact with our own limitations. And so part of Jupiter's energy is about bringing us into contact with our own limitations. Over this last year with Jupiter in Gemini, I think that a lot of you have been coming into contact with your own limitations. Unlike Cancer, when Jupiter is in Gemini, it is not exalted. It's in a place where it actually doesn't function in all of the best possible ways that it can. And part of this is because Gemini is an energy that likes to go in a lot of different directions at once. And Jupiter likes to give its gifts and be expansive and be wise. But Gemini is like this thing, that thing, squirrel, right? So there's like a lot of distractible kinds of energies with Gemini. And over this last year, I feel like a lot of you have actually been needing to navigate psychic overwhelm, energetic overwhelm. There may have been a feeling of just a lot happening in the world, in your life, environmentally, in the kind of like collective vibe with things that you can't control and you might not even understand or be that aware of, yet you are impacted. Some of you have been experiencing this overwhelm in your body, in your sleep state, in your kind of regulatory capacities. And the feeling that I have is that like you've been needing to process a lot. Now, if you've been following me for a while, and definitely if you got your 2025 year ahead reading, which by the way, you can still get it. The link is in the show notes. It's like over 3 hours long. There's tons of information in there about astrology and all the things that's going on in 2025. And it's a lot. And a lot of it is directly impacting Cancer, especially. If you've been following me and you've heard all that, then you know that I have been talking to you for quite some time now about your leadership. And you know that I've been talking to you about like you're coming into a phase in your life that is about you wearing your big kid pants, like in a big way. And basically like arriving for a lot of your goals, your ambitions, and also what life just puts in your path. And when it comes to maturation and response ability, your life is giving you plenty of options to be the bigger person, to show up for the work that's yours, to really kind of be aligned with your integrity, with your sense of higher purpose. But all of this also has a lot of weight to it. And so I think that especially in this last year, a lot of you have been feeling the gravity of your situation. You may have more on your plate than you can really deal with. There are a lot of responsibilities that I think you are aware of. There's a lot of work to be done in the world. Not all of it is yours, but a lot of the questions you're asking yourself right now are about what is your work to do. So as we come into Gemini season, this feeling of psychic environmental overwhelm actually feels pretty big. And I'm going to say that the first 2 to 3 weeks of Gemini season, basically from May 20th until June 9th, let's stretch that out a little bit. Let's say all of Gemini season until Cancer season begins, you're like, whoa, this is a lot. But it's not all the same kind of feeling of overwhelm. So the first week of Gemini season, we are in the new moon energy. There's a new moon in Gemini on May 26th. And especially this first week, I just feel like a lot of you are up to your eyeballs in it. Like, I don't know what you are trying to absorb and metabolize and make sense of, but whatever it is, there's a lot of it. And I think that you are doing your best. And even when you do your best, some days it's just a daze. Like it feels like your energy feels really big, but like big to the point of where are the limits of it? You need some containment. You could help yourself a lot in this first week by actually holding yourself. That could be a somatic practice. That could be very, very helpful, is to actually hold yourself and squeeze yourself and help yourself know that you are in your own body. Okay, that could be really helpful. A couple of days after the new moon, as we get out of May and into June, there's a distinct shift in your mental energy. And I feel that this shift has to do with you prioritizing and filtering and basically making some decisions for yourself about what you're going to focus on. Because you know that there are so many things happening, you can't actually go in all of those directions. So you need to be intentional. And if you can be intentional and disciplined, if you can show up every day for whatever the process is, just a couple of minutes a day, that will have an impact in a residual compounding way as you move through time. And though you can't attend to all of the things that are probably clamoring for your attention, you can attend to a lot of them if you can structure your focus. And I feel like something is starting to happen for you around the end of May, and you are getting like more focused, you're getting more aligned. Some of you might be actually creating schedules for yourself or implementing some kind of practice. And it's like, you could do something for 10 minutes a day. It doesn't actually have to be that much, but if you do it consistently, then those 10 minutes every single day are going to add up as you get into months and years. And a lot of you are making some kind of decision or decisions around this time around how you're going to care for your focus, for your mental energy, and just really for your sanity. It feels like for your own well-being, you're like, okay, some things need to step back so that I can step into the center of my own energy. Then as we get into June, Jupiter is leaving Gemini and moving into Cancer, and this happens on June 9th. So that first week of June leading up to this transition, some of you may be feeling an intensification of this kind of mental overwhelm. And the more that you can, it's a little bit of mind over matter in this period of time. I feel like you really need to be clear and disciplined. You need to keep yourself in integrity, like with whatever it is that you're trying to prioritize right now. You have to be the one to show up for yourself. Any kinds of support for mental focus could be really helpful for you. So some of you have a ton of stuff going on with your adult life. And so it's like work, bills, chores, taking care of your family, this kinds of things. Some of you have just so much going on, and it would be helpful for you to write lists or have chore wheels or delegate or something like that. Some of you have something that you are working on that you are trying to get into, like the next phase of something. It's like there's a little bit of a graduation moment. Some of you might literally be graduating soon. We are in that time of year. And so you might be making a transition from like a significant chunk of your life doing something into something else. Having rituals to prepare yourself, giving yourself pep talks every morning, laying out your day with some intentionality of, your 5-point list of these are the things that you're going to focus on. That could be really helpful. If you have a lot of things that you're trying to manage, there's something called the Pomodoro timer that I found to be helpful sometimes, especially with attention tasks. And it basically will set up a timer for you that reminds you to take breaks also. And it kind of works with some developmental psychology and adult learning where it helps you pay attention for manageable amounts of time and then get up and do something else. And it helps a lot of people with productivity. So these kinds of things can be generally helpful for you if this resonates in the first week and a half or so of Gemini season, basically May 20th until the end of the month, and then into that first week of June. But then as we get into the first week of June and start to move towards Jupiter in Cancer beginning on June 9th, things really start to shift in an interesting way. And as Jupiter comes into your sign, there is a need for you to expand your sense of self a little bit, to take up more space when it comes to this theme of graduation or adulting or you in leadership. This is a period of time that is really asking you to arrive for whatever this like initiation or promotion or new set of responsibilities is. And you are being given some opportunities to embody your power, but you have to take those opportunities. You have to take them up. And this sense of like discipline and prioritization and, you know, working a little bit every single day on what's important to you is going to be really helpful for the next year. I also am feeling that it's super important for you right now to focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses. And I would say it's not just about you, but in general, to focus on the strengths, not the weaknesses. Look towards the opportunity, see what's good, see where things are already vibrant, where they are already healthy, where there's already some potential, and then nurture those things. Like really pay attention to what is good. When there's weaknesses, if there are places where you're like, you know, this isn't working, or I'm not my best, or they're not their best, or something like that, keep that in view. Like, we're not trying to bypass it or pretend that it's not there, but don't harp on it. Like, don't get fixated on it. When things happen that feel like they're not going to plan, or you wish that something else would happen or something like that, don't get obsessed about what's wrong. Really try to train your brain right now to look for the opportunity. You have a lot of growth opportunity, but sometimes the opportunities that are the best for us are the ones that come out of the blue and actually seem like they're moving in a completely different direction than what we thought we were trying to do. We can have all kinds of intentionality about our direction, and then life is like, actually, you're going to get to the place you're trying to go in this completely different route. And the way that you were trying to go is not, we're not going to let you go that way. Okay. So some of you might be needing to deal with like some shifts or challenges or changes as this new cycle begins. But it is so important that you focus on the growth, you focus on the opportunity, you focus on what's good, and that you do this with yourself. So as Jupiter comes into your sign, you really want to remember that this is an energy of luck, expansiveness, benefic opportunity, and abundance, but only if that's what you are resonating. And so how this energy works is it magnifies what's there. And if you are being negative, if you are not trusting the universe or your life, if you're focusing on the problems, that's what's going to get magnified. If you are extending your energy out in ways that are not helpful for you or for others, like if you are not being response able and instead you're being reactive and you're not taking up your own work, your life is going to give you more opportunities to feel the impact of that on yourself and your general environment. And so the energy that I'm picking up on, again, I'm going to say it's time to put your big kid pants on, or whatever clothes big kids wear. And, you know, I don't know, that's kind of a drag, just speaking as a 40-something-year-old adult, you know, like most days would really like it if somebody else would deal with my responsibilities, a lot of them, you know, like it's a drag to be an adult in a lot of ways. But I'm personally not in a position where anybody else is paying my bills, making my meals, you know, taking care of me. And so I really need to do that for myself. I have to show up for myself. A lot of us are. And you, Cancer, you are in some kind of position right now, and it might not be in all aspects of your life, but you are in some kind of position where you have to be the bigger person. And when you show up for that, when you bring your best, when you do your own work, when you really try to extend generosity to yourself and to others, when you practice patience, when you move from goodwill, that is what's going to get magnified. That is what's going to come back to you. And this energy of the great teacher is wanting you to learn some lessons right now about your own power and your own leadership and your own empowerment. And part of how you're going to learn these lessons is through what you focus on and what you cultivate and what you tend. And whenever we're working with Jupiter, we can receive the benefits that this energy is bringing into these parts of our charts by really trying to cultivate benefit inside of us. And one of the best ways that we can do that is gratitude practices and appreciation practices. And if you can make it a discipline for yourself every single day to give at least a couple of minutes of attention towards what you're grateful for, what you think is beautiful, what you appreciate, and what you admire in yourself, in others, and in the world around you, that will have a cumulative and residual effect. It will help stabilize your mind and your body. It will also help you resonate with an energy that others feel. And when people feel appreciated, when they feel like someone thinks they're beautiful, right? Or there's something to admire, we light up. And that's like natural, right? So if someone comes towards me and they're criticizing me, what am I going to do? I'm going to feel defensive, right? I'm going to like kind of shut down, probably go away, probably feel bad about myself, even if it's accurate feedback or something like that. So when someone comes towards me and they are expressing appreciation and gratitude, let's say even if they have some feedback and they're like, Renee, God, you ramble in your horoscopes, but I love what you have to say, right? Like if they can, what's it called? A shit sandwich, right? It's like you put a compliment on one side and then you put appreciation on the other side. And then in the middle, you put the feedback. A relationship coach once told me that I should serve shit sandwiches and, not be so critical because I've got lots of Virgo placements and I can't help it. And that's been really helpful for me. It's like, look for what you're grateful for, look for what you appreciate, and then allow the awareness of what's not great to be held in a larger container. When we're met with that kind of energy, we are much more inclined to grow and be receptive and engage with reciprocity. I feel like, and I don't know what it is, but I feel like some of you are really having some opportunities right now to be served and serve some shit sandwiches. Let me know if it resonates in the comments, okay? Tell me what this means for you. I just feel like you really are needing to practice gratitude and appreciation as you continue to work on what can be improved or what isn't ideal. And if things come in your life and you're like, oh my God, this is so much responsibility. This is so hard. I'm not being appreciated. I'm not getting what I want. Make your mind focus also on where it's good. And that doesn't mean you need to bypass your own feelings. Your feelings need you to pay attention to them. You can care for yourself and be like, yes, babe, that is really hard. That's going to help you actually see what's good if you can validate your own feelings, but don't stay there. Okay, don't focus on the weakness. Don't focus on the fault. Right now, your growth really it depends on you being able to expand. There is a full moon on June 11th, just a couple of days after Jupiter enters your sign. This is a full moon in Sagittarius. This is a place in your chart that has everything to do with discipline, with showing up for the work of it, with response ability. This is a place that has to do with your self-care and your capacities to care for the many, many details of your life. Something is happening for Cancer right now that is a challenge, and it is calling you to task. Now, some of what might be happening, I hope what's happening for a lot of you is opportunities, because many of you are getting promoted or you are getting some kind of like it's like a growth opportunity. And that means that there's some kind of inherent challenge. And in the middle of June, and as we move towards Cancer season, there is something that I feel like for a lot of you, it's like, okay, grow, Cancer, grow. Like, you can do this. You got this. Let's go. And it could feel really hard, but there's also a lot of benefit if you take it up and if you do it. So I want to give you a longer timeline for this, and I want to ask you to think back to 2020. Think back to the winter or December of 2020. That was a big year, lots going on in 2020. You can probably locate some memories. In December of 2020, Jupiter and Saturn made a conjunction at the first degree of Aquarius. Now, Jupiter and Saturn make conjunctions every 20 years, like clockwork. I talked to you a ton about this in your 2025 year ahead reading. If you haven't listened to it yet, click the link in the show notes. You can get it now. Every 20 years, like clockwork, Jupiter and Saturn form what's called a great conjunction. These are pages turning in like the storyline of societal growth. A new cycle began in 2020. That cycle had a lot to do with society and technology and how people are peopling, right? Like how we engage our larger cultural identities, how we come together as the people, how people work with power, etc. I'm sure you can find a couple of memories maybe that resonate with that in terms of a larger collective experience. Now, in your personal, like in the charts for Cancer in 2020, I don't know if it was for you personally, but this is what I'm reading for Cancer. So in December of 2020, a new cycle began for Cancer, which is a 20-year cycle that is about developing psychological power. Now, I remember talking to you in your year ahead, I think for 2021 or 2022. And I remember someone wrote to me, and because I had said, I think a lot of you are getting really interested in psychology. Now, a lot of Cancers are already therapists and stuff like that. But I remember someone wrote to me and they were like, it's true. I'm going back to grad school. I'm going to like go get my psych degree. So something was starting for you in 2020 that has to do about you transforming and cultivating psychological power. This is a 20-year cycle. So inside of this cycle, and we are still very much in the beginning stages of it, you're doing a lot of work that has to do with transformation of what keeps you disempowered. Now, all kinds of things can keep us disempowered, but some of what keeps us most disempowered as human beings is the ways that we get entangled with other people and where we get like totally enmeshed and locked up in each other's trauma patterns. This happens in so many relationships, like in most relationships, you know, there's some amount of like psychological baggage that people are carrying around. And in some relationships, there's a huge amount of baggage. All of us have inherited family trauma. All of us are probably creating our own. There, you know, no shade to anybody. But when we do our own work, when we work on ourselves, when we reduce our propensity to be reactive, and instead we get into like our conditioning, our programming, the impulses that we have to react in certain ways, our survival mechanisms, our coping strategies, all of that, when we do the work in ourselves to take greater responsibility to transform our own psychology, then we become more powerful people in the world. We empower our relationships by necessity. So if one person is doing a lot of work on themselves inside of a two-person dynamic, their partner either has to up-level their own work or the relationship can't continue. And this is part of how, you know, relationships grow over time, is that we reflect to each other where there are learning and growth opportunities. This is part of how family systems evolve. Ideally, this is part of how nations and countries and cultures evolve, is that we push each other to grow. And the push towards growth is not comfortable. So much of our growing comes from feeling uncomfortable. So feeling unhappy with a situation, feeling unmet by something, feeling like you're stuck in some kind of pathological cycle. When you allow yourself to feel that way, and when you can be conscious that you're feeling that way, that gives you a reason to grow. So this is part of why I'm saying don't bypass your feelings, but don't only focus on them. Ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to teach me? If I feel dissatisfied, what can I do about it? If I'm being met with challenge, what is the challenge asking me to realize about myself? If I feel like I can't get my big kid pants on and I just want to wear my little kid pants, what is it about the big kid pants that I don't want to put on? What am I saying no to when it comes to my own agency or empowerment? Over the 20-year span of time that this cycle is bringing into our lives, so from 2020 to 2040, you are gaining a new kind of psychological blueprint. You are transforming your psychological blueprint. A lot of you are doing enormous work for your family lineage. A lot of you are doing such heavy lifting for the generational ancestral karma that you are part of carrying. And for every single one of you out there who has children and all of you who have parents, like this is the time for you to be really working it inside of yourself. And if any of you are in any kind of position of power, you could be a teacher, you could be a boss, you could be a bus driver in a moment when someone's getting on the bus, okay? Like any kind of position of power, you have an opportunity right now to be part of transforming power. The way that people use power on planet Earth in 2025 is largely unconscious. And one of the main misuses of power that most people are, enacting is not using our own power, not realizing that we have power. We get stuck in these really limiting narratives and we say, well, I'm like this and you're like that. And then we pretend like anything is permanent. Don't do this to yourself, Cancer. You are evolving. Other people are evolving. There's always room for growth. There's always room for change. And how we nourish and nurture what is changing has everything to do with what it grows into and becomes. So in states of change, if you meet something with negativity, with control, with manipulation, with mistrust, that's the influence that you're putting into it. If you meet something with discernment, with integrity, with honesty, forthcomingness, sincerity, and love, that's what you're putting into it. What you put into a situation is how it will grow and evolve. So you are only 5 years into this 20-year cycle. All of us are. And over the last 4.5 to 5 years, I think a lot of you have been in this kind of operational space starting in 2020 where you're struggling a little bit to realize your beliefs, to embody your beliefs. And you might have like ideas or idealism about how you're going to be or how relationships should be or how the world should be or how your place of employment should be or how your family should be or whatever. And then you're in the actual situation and you're like, well, it's not like that. And you're working these last number of years, you've been working to realize your ideals, to actually bring them into manifestation. You've been having conversations, you've been in practice, you've been learning, you've been really trying to meet the moment. And now this period of change has come, and Jupiter and Saturn are in what's called their first quarter square. And in this period of change, we're in a really crucial time of development. Basically, like something will start as it did in 2020. And for the first quarter of its growth cycle, it will be somewhat unconscious in its growth. At the first quarter square, developmentally, this relates to a person at 7 years old. Okay. So at the first quarter square, we start to become a lot more conscious of like internal, external. There's this kind of, objectivity or more objectivity that can come in. We can take some distance or separation from the situation. We can see where it maybe needs to grow, how it needs to change. And often at the first quarter square, there are external challenges that really make us confront our own motivations, our desires, our growth trajectories, our intentions, etc. So since last August of 2024, Jupiter and Saturn have been in their first quarter square. But all through that time until very recently, Jupiter was in Gemini and Saturn was in Pisces. Now on March 30th, Saturn moved into Aries. This is your fellow cardinal sign. Aries holds the very heaven of your chart. It has a lot to do with adulting, with leadership, with your personal power and how you put yourself out into the world. And now Jupiter is coming into Cancer. And on June 13th, 14th, they make their final square. And then they'll start to move towards the trine. And so this is a very important, decisive kind of phase. And astrology doesn't always work like with the specific day. So don't only focus on June 14th. It's just the vibe right now. But because the cycle is culminating in the cardinal signs, right at the first degrees of Aries and Cancer, to me, this feels like a really important shift in terms of new initiatory energy and how we are going to hold ourselves to task with whatever it is that we started back then in 2020. And for you, Cancer identified people, this is a really powerful moment. And basically the feeling is that it's landing for you and it is coming into your body. It's real right now. Whatever it was that you thought that you were doing, it's like now it's really real. I think that what you're doing is building psychological fortitude. I think that what you're doing is becoming an alchemist of power. This means that you are basically learning like psychic Aikido. You are learning how to take energy that other people are directing at you, turn it and transform it and bring it into another direction. You are learning to work with your own energy in ways that do not require you to exert yourself to the limits of your capacity, but actually can move through you sustainably to great effect. You are only a quarter of the way through the cycle. Don't expect yourself to be totally a master yet. You are still an apprentice with this energy, but something is landing in you very deeply. And it feels like your life is asking you to really take up your own power. And oftentimes the opportunities that we have to take up our power come in the shape of challenges. So if you feel challenged as we head into this transit, you are on the right path. And I want to say, orient yourself towards your best opportunities for growth. Focus on the good stuff and let yourself feel the feelings of the not good stuff. You can know that it's there, but expand your perception and awareness and feel yourself outside and beyond all of that as well. And that's where you are growing. Okay, Cancer, I want to offer you a simple somatic practice to help integrate all of this information. Astrology has lots of moving pieces. I just gave you like a ton of dates and symbols and times and houses and signs and planets. And if none of that means anything to you, relax your brain. Let's focus on the body. Okay. This is a practice that so far I've given to 2 other signs. And I often intuitively feel like each sign really gets its own practice. And it's not surprising to me that because of what's happening with this first quarter square, Jupiter and Saturn, this is the thing that really wants to keep coming through. So I'm going to offer it to you as well. Many of you know this practice. You love this practice. You do it all the time. You're familiar with it. Maybe you even teach it. This is just in the zeitgeist right now. So as we talk about it with each other, let's just remember what we already know and expand as we hear each other's language around it. So I'm going to offer you the practice of centering, and some people call it orienting. And this is a practice of feeling yourself in your multidimensionality. And I want to encourage you right now to feel yourself in your length, from your feet all the way up to your head, from the base of your spine to the top of your spine. Feel yourself in your width between your left and your right sides, expanding your perception and awareness out into the sides. And feel yourself in your depth. And that is the space between your front and your back. And as you feel that space between, you might allow your sensory awareness to travel into the space in front of you and into the space behind you. Now, as you feel your depth, that space in front and space behind, the space between the two of them, feel your inner body. Your inner body includes all of your organs, your breathing, body fluids. It also includes the energy that lives in your body. And I want to invite you to make a commitment to yourself as you feel your inner body. And this commitment is to be as safe a space as you can for your own self. Can you be a safe space for you? As you feel your depth, the space between your front and back, remember that you are inheriting all kinds of stuff, that you are transforming all kinds of stuff, that you are giving all kinds of stuff, that through your body, the past becomes the present and then creates the future. And in any way that it's meaningful for you right now, commit to cultivating your own safety, taking care of yourself. And this does not mean controlling the outer world. It means that when you feel vulnerable or shaky or uncertain, that you care for yourself, that you don't yell at yourself or criticize yourself or focus on your weaknesses. It means that when you feel intuitively that maybe you have a boundary or you have a lack of capacity or you need something, that you're going to speak your truth. You're going to ask for what you need. You're going to honor your limits. You're going to honor your boundaries, etc. You are committing to creating a safer space inside your own self. Okay. Then from that space inside of you, feel your own length. Okay. Feel the length of your spine. Feel the distance between your head and your feet. And if you're in an upright shape, sitting or standing, you might even feel the pathway of earth into space and space down into earth. And as you feel your verticality and your length, remember your own dignity. Cancer, you are a being who has always been worthy of respect. And in your dignity, you are dignified. Call that in. Know your worth. Your worth is inherent. Okay? Your time, your attention, your presence is valuable. Affirm your own dignity. And then from this space, feel out to the right and out to the left. Allow your width to expand. And remember that you belong here. As strange and confusing and chaotic as the human realms are, you belong here. You are part of life. You are part of the family of life. And you might even imagine a circle of belonging right now. And you can include your beloved ones. You can include your favorite plants and animals. You can include the earth and the stars and whoever else, your invisible allies and friends. There is a space of belonging all around you, for you. Okay, so as you feel into these three planes, your length, your width, your depth, your belonging, your dignity, and the safety that you can cultivate and provide for yourself, consider the challenges of your life and how you want to meet them. Consider the occasion of your life and how you want to grow into it. And make any other commitments that feel appropriate for you to make in this particular moment. And I really want to encourage you to think about the commitments of discipline and practice. What do you know that you want to attend to every day for your own well-being? that would be a gift to you and therefore be a gift to all of those around you. Cancer, I'm going to leave it there. If this horoscope was helpful for you, please let me know. Give me a comment, subscribe, share these horoscopes with your friends and family. Please help this work grow. If you enjoy it, please help me do the thing that I love to do. If you enjoyed that embodiment practice, and if you felt like there was some power for you in connecting somatic awareness and body-centered practice with astrology, then come hang out with me sometime on a Monday. Every Monday from 8 to 9:30 a.m. Pacific, I'm on Zoom, and you can always catch the recording if you can't attend live. I teach a class called Somatic Space. Every single week, we orient with the astrology of the week ahead, and we do gentle, accessible, enjoyable movements, meditation, and visualization to prepare ourselves to be with the astrology, with the astrological weather of the upcoming week. I always feel supported by these practices, and I am really happy to share them. And I feel like more of us doing practices that help us attune and orient and align with the current cosmic weather, the better. And this is also a great place to meet people, to connect around astrology. At Embodied Astrology, we do have a vibrant co-learning space. There are chart reading study groups. We've got all kinds of community events, such as our May 26th new moon conversation. It's a Gemini new moon, and one of Gemini's favorite keywords is neighbors. And I'm going to be in conversation with my neighbor. He's joining me in a Zoom room, and we are going to talk about what he does. My neighbor, Stephan, is a teacher of myth and cosmology and science. And we're going to be talking about the intersections between science and mythology, definitely something most astrologers and astrology lovers could get into. And there's lots of other opportunities to learn and grow and participate with Embodied Astrology, and you can find the links for everything in the show notes. Cancer, I'm wishing you all the best in Gemini season and beyond. Hope to see you next month for Cancer season and your birthday. Until then, sending you a lot of love. Bye for now.